Howdy everyone, it's me, Jeffrey, and I'm here to tell another story that I was recently reminded of. Just to preface this, I'm gonna go ahead and say I've been going through everything in this house. Some stuff in this house has been, once it entered this house, it has not left since like 2005, so I decided it was time, because everything left in this house is my stuff, and it's time to this is perfect. This is a perfect horror thing for something to just come out of the shambling out of the bathroom. That's unnerving. It's time for me to go through everything, figure out what I need, what I don't need, what can be thrown away, what can be donated, what needs to never see the light of day again but shouldn't be destroyed for historical purposes. And I came across a syllabus that I had printed off. No, it wasn't a syllabus. It was a reading assignment that I was given for a criticisms in theory class that used the Star Wars saga as a sort of lens. Like we would apply different lenses to the Star Wars saga. The native lens, the black lens, the queer lens, the female lens, the colonialism. I can't remember that one, but you know, just lenses to say like, hey, how does the Star Wars saga have this, or does it have it? All that kind of stuff, and we hit on some really, really great points. There was some really cool things that came out of that class, and everyone who was a part of that class remembers it really, really fondly, because it was a labor of love by the professor, who frequently just couldn't believe that they were getting paid to just teach about Star Wars. It was just an amazingly cool experience. And there was one experience in that class that was shared by every class member and the professor that none of us will ever forget. So, when signing up for this class on the college's portal thing, it was shortened to like theory, criticisms, and whatever. So there were several people who signed up for that class who not only did not know it was a Star Wars class, but had never seen a Star Wars movie, which is fine. The class was actually built in a way to acquiesce is not the right word, but to address that. Like, you could have the class taken by a room full of people who've never even heard the word Star Wars next to each other, and it would still work, because it wasn't even though it was called the Star Wars class, it wasn't a class about Star Wars. It was a class about different lenses, and Star Wars was just simply the paint we used on our canvas, essentially. I don't know, the clay we worked with. It's like 45 days into quarantine. I don't need to perfect my analogies. So, there were people who, if I recall, I think there may have been one, maybe two people who were like, yeah, I'm not into this, but I may be mistaken. But there was one person in particular, who shall remain nameless, that not only had never seen a Star Wars movie, but had somehow completely avoided everything Star Wars did in the macrocosm of pop culture. And this was entertaining at first as we went through the movies, hearing the students' like reactions and theories and stuff, which were all supported, and they were very intelligently conclusions being drawn and all that. It was awesome. And then we got to The Empire Strikes Back, which was released 40 years ago next month. Empire Strikes Back is known for a lot of things. A lot of people consider it the best Star Wars movie. Many people consider it an example of a sequel that is better than the original. But in the world of film, pop culture, literature, and a lot of other areas of study, Empire Strikes Back contains what is arguably the single biggest twist in cinematic history. That nothing up to that point had ever been so, of the revelation that is that we get towards the end of that movie, is nothing up to that point had ever been as potent, and everything since then hasn't measured up to it. If you don't know what this twist is, then I suggest you stop this video. See, it's weird, because before taking this class, I would have been like, everyone knows what this twist is. It's everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. But because of this event that happened in the Star Wars class, I'm going to preface, if you do not know what I'm talking about, do yourself the favor of watching Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, and then Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. And that's it. That's hell. If you want, just read a summary of New Hope and watch Empire Strikes Back if that's just not your cup of tea. Now, they're great movies. They're a lot of fun, and the whole world is awesome, but people are busy. But we're in the middle of quarantine, so just stream that stuff. So we did not watch the movies in class, the full movies in class, because that would have taken up over half of the semester we had. But we would watch them at home and then come to class and use the lens and the reading to discuss it and stuff. And it was the day to talk about the end of Empire Strikes Back, and that particular student had said, yeah, I didn't get to it. And so everyone was like, wait, really? You didn't watch Empire Strikes Back? And I was like, no, I just didn't, get to it. But I figured we'd talk about it in class, so I feel fine. And everyone's just kind of like, nah, we're not that lucky. He didn't watch it, but he knows. And so, if I recall correctly, our professor wants the student to clarify. Our professor said, now, student, you did not watch Empire Strikes Back at all. No. Do you know what happens in Empire Strikes Back? No. There is nothing you know about any character in Empire Strikes Back. Nope. Okay. Nah. There's no way. There's no way. So, the professor is like, okay, well, part of class today was we were going to watch, the last 15 to 20 minutes of Empire Strikes Back, so you won't get a chance to go watch it yourself. Do you want to leave and then come back, or... Nah, it's fine. I'm fine. Okay, and no one else is saying anything because, the tension in the room is just getting, more and more palpable, and it's just it can't be possible. There's no way. There's no way. So, we start, I think, when Luke and Vader are, having the lightsaber fight in the carbon freezing chamber. The carbonite freezing chamber. And they're fighting, and lightsabers, and they eventually make it to the hall, and then break out a window, and fighting alongside the spire, and then Luke's hand gets cut off. and he's working his way to the very edge of the spire. He's moving. You know, Mark Hamill, who plays Luke Skywalker, is just beat to hell. Just looks like crap. Darth Vader standing like 7 foot tall, imposing. And Darth Vader basically says to Luke, like, Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. And at this point, every head in the room turned to look at the student who claimed to not know a thing about Star Wars. Or Empire Strikes Back, at least. And Luke says, he told me enough. He told me you killed him. And I've never felt like, from my own personal experience, I've never more intensely studied every muscle trigger on someone's face. And then Vader delivers the line, which is the biggest twist in cinematic history. No, I am your father. And even though Luke screams, no, and all that, you couldn't hear that. No one in the room heard that. Everyone in the room saw that student take off their glasses and go, what? And put their head down. And the rest of the movie played out, but like all of us were just talking about, like, I can't, blah, 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 and the student was just down. He was just down. His head was down. That somehow this piece of pop culture was so not in his sphere of things that this almost 40-year-old movie at the time was not spoiled. And I learned a lot from that class. I learned a lot of really great things that I still get to apply every single day. Points of view that I'd never considered before, that I do like really, really appreciate. That class was extremely profound and impactful on my life. All that aside, I would pay for that class again in a heartbeat, just to see that reaction, that genuine disbelief again, so long after it became just common knowledge. So that is my 13-minute summary of effectively 6 minutes of my life. But I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely think that I'm one of the lucky few people to have experienced this, and it's a story I will be telling for the rest of my life. So, I love you very much, and you have a good day. Be well.